Yeah, that's right. But I was supposed to possibly. Yeah, I had to move it to here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. If you're online, we would love to have cameras on so we can see your wonderful faces during the meeting. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming out today. Hope you all had a nice snow day on Monday. Anybody do anything fun? Skiing? Hi, everybody. Shoveling, yeah. Anybody go sledding or anything? No? No sledding? All right, neither did I, so. Can you guys hear me now? You can hear me now, right?
I hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna try to pay attention to the chat, but for my online guests, agents, please, if you want to participate, ask questions, jump in, add comments, just unmute yourself. If you can keep yourself muted until you want to say something, but I don't necessarily always see the chat box. So if you want to say something or contribute, please do so. But just unmute yourself and jump in at any time. All right, so Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to our first official sales rally of 2025. I would like to start off with welcoming some of our new agents. Some of them may be online, I'm not sure, but some are in the room. One is in the room in particular. So all joining us from Exit One Stop in North Beach, Jen Daly, Gloria Teen Jones, Sam Thomas, Mary Thomas, and Ginny Wilhite. So welcome, Ginny, and welcome everybody online. Heather, we welcomed you at the last office meeting because you were here in December, but welcome again. So some of them are online as well. So welcome to all of you. We're so glad to have you as part of our Hyatt & Company family. So our stats, the MAR and the Bright market stats were not released yet for December and for 2024. So I'll hold those until the next office meeting and we'll go over the recap of the year at the next office meeting. But the general December stats fell out like this. For the state of Maryland, and this is the entire state of Maryland, The median days on the market for December was 22, which is up from 16 in November, which is no surprise, right? It's the holidays. We know after Thanksgiving and going through Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's and all of the winter holidays that the days on the market tend to houses sit a little bit longer. 22 is not horrid though. The median list to close price, 99.7. So that means houses closed at 99.7% of what they listed at when they first listed. And that was in the month of December. And then the average close price for the month of December was down to $355 from $425 from November. For our office, our median days on the market ticked up a little bit as well, but still fell below the overall statewide median days on the market. So our listings closed in 15 days compared to the average for the state at 22, which is pretty exciting. So congratulations to you guys. And our list to close price was still at 100% of list to close price versus the market average that was down to 99.7. And then our average close price just for the month of December was $355. How did you guys feel about December? How did it look for you on your side? Busy? Yeah, I heard that. I heard that from a lot of people. Did you feel an impact from the holidays? Did you feel people slow down? Did you feel listings sit a little bit longer? Yeah, showings slowed down a little bit. Yeah. Hopefully now that the snow, if we can get out of Snowmageddon, I think they're calling for more this weekend, but hopefully once we get past the snow, things will pick back up and stay busy for everybody. Our December top producers. So our Hyatt and Company December top producers, our top individual listings taken, we had a whole lot of agents all with 2 listings each. So congratulations to all of you that took listings in December. But there was not even like a 3-way tie it was like a lot of you. So congratulations to everybody. Our top individual closed sides for the month with 5 closed ends. Well, I'll start with number 3. We had multiple tied with 3 ends each closed in December. With 4 ends closed in December, Ruth Ann Strauss and Andrew Leday. So congratulations to both of you. And then I don't know if he's online or not, but with 5 ends closed for the month of December, Joshua Harris. I know. Congratulations, Joshua.
Thank you.
Is he on there? Oh, he is. Congratulations, sir. In top individual closed sales volume, in 3rd place with $1.5 million in closed sales volume in the month, Joshua Harris. Congratulations, Joshua. 1.6 million in sales volume for the month, Ruth Ann Strauss. Congratulations. And then in 1st place with 2.1 million in sales volume for the month of December, Mr. Trevor Hyatt. Our E-Team top producers for the month. So in 3rd place, Andrew Leday with 2 Zillow contracts that went under contract in the month for 1.2 million in sales volume. Congratulations, Andrew. In 2nd place with 1 Zillow contract and 1 Zillow closed, but 1.3 million in sales volume, Saeed Mohebi. Congratulations. And then in 1st, wait, why does my paper say that? So my paper says Saeed Mohebi is in 1st place. Saeed, it must be Saeed. I know, right? What did I do? Okay, well, I have Saeed as top E-Team agent for the month with 1.4 million in sales volume, but I feel like something is wrong there. So I'll give you your certificate, but I will get the room. What's that? Can I let you in? So I will figure that out. I think I know who it is, but I don't want to speak and say, no, it's not you. Sorry, Dennis. No, I think they didn't get changed. That's what it is. I don't think they got changed. But our rookie of the month which is pretty exciting. So Rookie of the Month is an agent that's been licensed for less than 12 months with the brokerage, or in general, but 12 months licensed. And this individual had actually 3 contracts put up last month, but 1 fell apart. So with 2 contracts for the month, our Rookie of the Month is Mr. Bobby Bush. Yeah. So,
It really started, like, November was when I kind of really started.
yeah.
Thank you so long.
Yeah, he's brand new licensee. Yeah, I know, right? Don't fall for it, Bobby. Cash, thank you. So let's do our cash drawing. Everybody in the bowl that's in the room and was in the room on time. Does everybody have a card in the bowl? Ginny, you got a card in the bowl? Yes, okay. Who wants to draw? You didn't get one in the bowl? You have one?
I have one for
Okay, okay. Yeah, we'll circle back to that. Okay, Keith, would you like to give us updates on the lending world? Anything with PRMI, new products, interest rate updates, anything you wanna update us on?
Sure, so the rates, since the holiday, they've been ticking up a bit. No really rhyme or reason, just news coming out from the Fed, but the thing is, and Saeed had a client call yesterday, Saeed texted me about somebody yesterday that didn't want to look anymore because rates were in the 7s. I said, who told her that? And she's like, I don't know. And he said, are they? I go, yeah, but I go, nobody's getting this. I said, because I sent out an email, I think right before Christmas to everybody.
Hey Keith, we can't hear you out here.
I had a good closing month, origination month. It was falling off a little, so I was just making calls to people, and I ended up getting December, every single contract, and then I've gotten probably about 4 more since the new year, and every single contract I think has seller help. And what I'm able to do with that is, like this one girl yesterday, I'm taking the rate where she's probably over 7, and I'm driving it all the way down to 5.875. And she doesn't care because she's going to ask for help. And with the seller's money and just a smidgen of a calls from her, I can get her rate right where she wants it, or payment where she wants it. Bobby and I were talking to a guy last night, and same kind of thing, getting this guy at like 5.75. So yeah, rates are up, but I always tell people at the end of the day, if the payment's comfortable, the rate will work itself out. And a lot of homes have had more than normal days on market, and depending on how desperate people are to sell their home, I have a client that's under contract in Pennsylvania. The house was listed at 370. She got it for 340 with 3% help. Wow. So you gotta, I think communication with these people and picking up the phone, reaching out. I mean, again, I think we're all, when we signed up for this, we're all in a sales today. Me, that's part of the job. That's the fun part, just talking to people. And nowadays, more and more people, I know the younger generation, everybody thinks they want to do everything computer savvy and upload this and text it. They want to be talked to. They want to understand, because a lot of them are talking to these people. They're getting a pre-approval letter at $400,000. They have no idea what their payment is. They don't know how much money they need, and they don't even know the rate.
Right.
So when they hear somebody explain things to them, they're very much more appreciated, and you get that buy-in from them.
Can I add in on this?
Oh, yeah, please.
So has anybody ever been around Keith when he works?
Yeah.
What does he do?
Talk a lot.
Like this? All right, let me, this is key secrets. Money, no money.
Yeah.
Money, no money. So let me just tell you about him. He's very humble. Would you do $53 million this year? Number
Yeah.
one loan officer in the country for KRMI.
Country.
guys-
Can we give him a big?
Oh,
No, go ahead.
so if you take anything key, it's money.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's not rocket science, right?
No, it's.
Yeah.
Basic sales. It's very.
Congratulations.
yeah, way to go.
I mean, it is, you know, like, it's funny, this guy called me the other day, and I'll just sound like this. He's a young guy, and he called me up, and he's my brother-in-law's nephew. And he calls me up, he's like, "Hi, Keith. Yeah, this is Jack so-and-so, I'm Brian Greenberg's nephew, and I go, Jack. I go, it's Keith. He's like, yeah, I know. I go, what script are you reading from? I go, Jack. I go, what can I do? He's like, well, that's why I'm calling you. I just want to pick some brains. I go, listen. I go, you have to be able to relate to your audience. I was just talking to Carrie about this. If you count 1 to 10 on the phone, that is so much dead air. You should be able to recognize your audience and the type of person you're dealing with probably within the first 5 seconds.
Mhm.
And that's why I said to Jack, I go, you're not calling a stranger, you're calling me. So, and I said, the biggest thing I can tell you about sales, besides knowing your product, is just be honest, be communicative, and don't be afraid to pick up the phone.
Mhm.
Because everybody, you know, a lot of people, because everybody, they're young, they don't want to be bothered on the phone.
Mhm.
They really do. So,
Yeah,
you know.
no, that's
and-
great advice.
Yeah, but the market, look, I mean, the rates, who knows when they're gonna fall, but we've been now in the past 2 years, almost 3, working in a high rate environment. Believe it or not, you guys have all been working in a very high rate environment, thriving. So imagine how good you're gonna do when rates do fall. So just keep doing what you're doing, but people are buying. They're not, I mean, I've gotten, one day when it was snowing, I sat at my dining room table from 9:30 to 7:45. Literally on the phone with clients all day long, working up approvals. People are buying. So don't get caught up in the hype, oh, rates are high, I don't want to show them this, they're not gonna afford it. People don't care, they know where the rates are.
You didn't take a survey?
Okay.
Yeah, and to add to his point, every agent that I met with to do business planning with so far, because I'm still doing business planning, so if you want to do it, come on in. But in their recap of 2024, everyone that I've met with so far has either done more volume and fewer transactions or more transactions, more volume. Nobody that I've met with so far was down in either volume or transactions unless it was intentional. And if they were down in transactions, it was because they were way up in volume. So meaning they're selling higher priced houses and fewer of them, which is fantastic, right? We would all like to work a little bit less, a little bit smarter, a little less hard, right?
When the price is going up.
Yeah.
The volume, you don't have to. do
Yeah.
volume to make money.
Right.
And the other thing, when you're talking to someone, what's the first they're gonna do? Say no, hang on,
Mhm.
they're not gonna punch you through the phone.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you guys very much.
Yeah, no, congratulations to you. Cash drawing. You want to draw?
I'm not picking Dennis. I'm not picking Dennis. Not picking Dennis. Darryl Walker. Just like we talked about.
Congratulations. Nice job. Nice job. Before I jump to Casey, no, I'll go ahead and jump to Casey. Casey, is she in here? No, right in front of me. So results title, Casey Taylor, welcome.
Thank you. I don't really have any updates. Do any of you have any updates for us? How's everything going?
I love that you sent me the, okay, I think this is for everybody. You sent me a, anniversary date for my client and they hadn't yet applied homestead. And that was like such a big deal.
I have to give the kudos to Dennis on. He came to us a few months ago and said, can you do this for me, please? And I said, sure.
That's
I'm glad.
awesome.
I'm glad it was helpful. I guess just piggybacking on Keith with communication, and picking up the phone and calling us if you aren't getting through in an email. For anything that's changing in your deals or that we should know about, people being added, people being unadded, things like that. Yes.
So I just want to say something also about results. If you're new to the business, you'll realize that when you call most title companies, you're getting an operator or you're getting a voicemail that dial this. You call them, you're getting a live person, which is very rare.
And I'll piggyback on that. Kudos them in the fall, in October, or end of September, I had something come up that we had to have closed in 2 weeks. And they got it done in 2 weeks. And, you know, having them in the office was huge because we were for me, and it was huge. And it saved the seller a ton of money. So it was a high stress thing, but it got done, and thank you. So that's the difference, right? When you have them in your office, you can go in there, you can get a hold of them. They're great in returning calls or emails. So yes, absolutely.
I'll make sure. So let Katie and Stacy do all the work back there. So make sure you let them know that they're doing a great job. I'll pass it. But for our agent of the month for December is none other than Mr. Trevor Hyatt.
Nice job.
It's in the, I know you all know what it is. It is Navy to honor.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, geez. His seller. Yeah. So you want to tell the story why you were in the trauma center? Because that sounds pretty traumatic and scary. Like, I don't know that I would want to go there. Right? Is he waiting? Yep, he can sign.
It's got a heartbeat.
Yeah. He called me and I'm like, just make sure that she's not on drugs. Like, if she's gonna sign, she cannot be on narcotics. But yeah, so thank you, Casey, and that was above and beyond for sure. Okay, I do want to just say before I bring up Ruth Ann, for my PA agents, finally my PA license is in. Woo! As of literally this morning. So I have the numbers. I can give you the numbers of my licenses. So you can go into your PALS account and transfer your PA license for those of you that are PA licensed. I know Michelle's online. So you can get that done today. I can, Amanda and I can send that information over to you if you just shoot me an email. Also, I did pass my DC exam last week. Thank you. I didn't tell anybody. I think I told like 2 people because I was scared that I was going to fail. But I did pass my DC exam. So now I just have to navigate DC and figure out how to get my license because it's crazy. So just a quick little story. So I went on to activate my reciprocal broker license with DC. It's an online application. Well, I get 3/4 of the way through the online application and it says, please list your DC brokerage license number for the DC brokerage that you are going to be the principal broker for. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't try to put in my Maryland broker license. No, I don't know. I might not brick and mortar, but I might need like Pennsylvania, I need a resident agent address. So I may need that for DC. I don't know. I got to reach out to one of my DC broker friends. And because then I go over to, I'm like, okay, well, let me go to the DC brokerage application and apply for a DC reciprocal brokerage. Well, I get 2/3 of the way down and it says, please list your principal broker license number. I don't have that either. So I'm working on figuring that out. So hang tight. I am working on my DC broker license. So we also have an agent that just moved over with us that is working on his Virginia broker license, Sam Thomas, in the North Beach office. So that will give us Pennsylvania, Maryland, DC, and Virginia broker licenses. And then the next one that I've been asked to work on, if I don't have enough on my plate right now, is Delaware. So I'm going to work on Delaware. Delaware is totally different, and I've heard it's a lot more difficult. Yeah, and yes. So I have to look into that and see what the requirements are for my Delaware broker license. But I know I have 2, maybe 3, apparently more agents that are interested in Delaware. So pretty exciting. Florida? No, what are you doing? Why don't you do something? Okay, so Ruth Ann, can you talk to us about the lead team?
So, we had a lot of contracts in December again, so thank you guys. November we had, I think it was 24, 25. We closed out December with 21. So really good job. Thank you, thank you. Again, that means I'm cooking you guys breakfast. I won't make Jim and Tina cook this time. I'm sorry, Jim stir eggs or Tina cook. So this time I'll be cooking y'all breakfast. The ZHL rep, Trevor, and then our rep, Mike, are both going to be here at the end of the month. So they wanted to do a little powwow here in the office. So Wednesday, the 29th at 10 o'clock, if this classroom is open.
January.
Which I got to check with them. But yeah, they want to meet here. So I figured I'll make that the breakfast day. So I'll come in early. I'll cook y'all breakfast. Give you some suggestions. As long as it's not too insane, we can make it happen. So thank you. That's a good thing. Last month we got 306 connections sent our way. Our projection for the next 30 days, 480. So yeah, I just looked that up this morning. I was like, are they kidding? So they're not kidding. So we have a lot of leads coming our way. So I know we've been all saying this over and over. Please recruit, please recruit. For the love of God, please recruit. I don't know what I'm going to do if we have this many and I'm having to send them all out and scramble to find somebody. So that's a really good thing. That means they believe in us. Our goals have gone up every single month in the last 6 or 7 months. So has everything else we've been doing. While our answer rate, I know I've still been crying about that. Right now we're sitting at 50%, which is kind of depressing. We need 60, but they still believe in us. They're still giving us all of these leads just because we are closing the deals. Right now our goal is up to 17 this month. So I know you guys can do that. I want to see it happen. I know we're at 4 or 5 right now. I don't know if that 5th one went in yet, but we're sitting at 4 or 5 right now. Other than that, please keep doing what you're doing. Please make sure you're submitting your contracts, and please make sure that you are adding them to the transactions tab in Zillow. And then if you have anything going on where a settlement's getting extended, please make sure you're updating it in there, because otherwise I'm going in there and Zillow's going, hey, where's our money? Where's our money? Where's our documents? And then I'm coming to find out that there's a change in terms and it's like 2 weeks away. So please make sure you're updating that, or at least updating me, and I can hop in and update that. But otherwise, really good job, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just entering people that are in the waiting room.
And $100.
Hi. What is the $100 for?
So whoever uses follow-up boss the most in that month gets $100. So when you're at the top of the follow-up boss thing on that leaderboard, you get $100. The reason why is I know if you're using that system that much, you're going to be free. So it's a win-win. You're going to have more deals, and you're also going to have an extra $100 for your class. So yeah.
Nice.
See who it is this
What happened, Rhonda?
She was at the top last month. All right, so just a couple general housekeeping items, reminders, and these are lessons from the field. These are things that are actually happening, and I'm not saying it just. Please don't think I'm picking on anyone in particular, because most of these have happened to multiple agents in the last couple months. And so I've spent a good amount, Jim and I both have spent a good amount of time on the phone helping dig agents out of situations that they got themselves in, just because things in the contract weren't paid attention to. So I know the busier you guys get, the easier it is for these things to get missed. However, it can be very costly to you, the agent. And it can even open you and the clients and the brokerage up to lawsuits. So the first one is contract deadlines and contingency dates. So guys, when you have deadlines and dates in your contract, you should be setting reminders for yourself somewhere, alerts, either on a Google Calendar alert, a task alert in KV Core or Follow Up Boss, Dotloop. If you're using the contract to close checklist at the bottom of Dotloop in your loop. For those of you who don't know where that is, come to Amanda's Dotloop 101 class. She teaches it. But add that template, that checklist to your loop in Dotloop, and you actually assign the deadlines for each contingency, each item on that checklist for contract to close, and you assign yourself or whoever that deadline is for, and it sends you an email reminder when that deadline is approaching. We had in the last 2 months, a couple of contracts miss home inspection contingency windows, and the buyers wanted repairs done. So one agent actually ate pretty much the entire commission paying for the repairs that the buyer wanted, because the buyer had said to the agent, if the seller doesn't agree to make these repairs, I want to terminate. They thought or missed the deadline. Some agents just missed the deadlines. Other agents thought the deadline for the repair request was after the window for the inspection closed. No, guys, remember, whatever is on your inspection contingency addendum for number of days is the entire number of days you have to get all inspections done that the buyer wants to do and to request your repairs from the seller. Within that number, if it's 7, 10, please don't make it something like 5. That's what happened in this one. The agent made it 5. It was literally around the holidays. The home inspector got out there, but by the time, and the agent thought that 5 days was for the inspection, and then they had extra time to request the repairs. But this agent's not the only one that has made that mistake recently. So just be very careful you're not missing your inspection contingency deadlines. On that one, I had to get involved. Santi shaved his head.
Yes, yes, he did.
Okay, sorry. I
Buen día.
walking in.
¿Cómo está?
I just saw
Carlos?
Sí, yo soy
¿Cómo está?
Okay.
What?
Pase, por favor, venga.
Now everyone but.
I know, right? Everybody's staring at me. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
You just made the meeting. What's up? Let's see the head. Let's see the head.
Morning, this is the new look. Jim is my. What's this?
Do your words of wisdom thing. Joe.
Work, good. Money, no money. Money,
We swear we didn't pay to say that.
money, money. That is it. That is the key.
Santi,
Pase, por favor.
that was crazy. So anyway,
Ahorita.
does everybody understand that? Does anybody have questions?
¿Cómo le va?
Aquí bien, ¿y usted?
Me encantan sus zapatos amarillos, ¿no?
Go to your phone, and number system you have, make it part of your deadlines in day one. Every time, day one, don't let it slide, put all those things in.
Thank you. Perfect.
And understand when day one begins.
Yeah.
Is that always?
No, I don't mean when you get the contract signed.
Well, yeah, but
Count out. the deadlines
ASAP.
are, make sure they're religious.
yeah, yeah. Yes. And here's the other thing. So along those same lines, so we're talking about it from the buyer side, right? And protecting our buyers and their contingency. Let's talk about it from the seller side and that inspection contingency window. When you're representing a seller, and I need you guys to understand this, it is not your job or your responsibility or your fiduciary duty to remind the buyer's agent that their deadline is approaching, or to follow up with them and say, hey, do you have that pin? Hey, are you sending over the pin? Guys, that is not in your seller's best interest, right? What is in your seller's best interest? I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm gonna sit back and wait. And if that buyer's agent misses that deadline, is it in your seller's best interest for you to say, well, go ahead and send it over. I'll talk to the seller and see what they're willing to do? Possibly not. It's not, right? Unless you're at the point where that buyer might be walking away, right? And you're trying to hold the deal together and you're having a conversation with the seller. Listen, we don't have to make these repairs. However, if you want to keep this buyer in the, right? Does everybody understand that? Because I had an agent say to me, call me frantic. The buyer's, they were representing the seller. The buyer's timeline for inspection contingency is I think it's passed. And I've been calling and trying to get the pin and I don't know what else to do. Stop calling. It's not your job to call the buyer's agent for the pin. And as soon as it passes, I am very sorry, Jeff. I'm so sorry that passed. I understand the buyers wanted to ask for repairs. I'll have a conversation with the seller. I'll see what they're willing to do, but I can't make any guarantees, right? Because now if the buyer terminates, unless they have things like HOA or, right, you have to be smart. What other contingencies are in the contract? Are you trying to hold the deal together? But it is not your job to be making sure the agent on the other side understands and is not missing their deadlines for their client, okay? Did somebody have a question, Jeff?
So if they miss the pin deadline, don't put one in, they need a different contingency to get out of the contract, like they just can't get out.
Yeah. No, they
get out
can't
of the
just
inspection.
terminate outside. Once they're outside their home inspection contingency window and they didn't start negotiations or terminate within that window, that contingency has closed. It's gone. They've now lost that contingency. So if there are other contingencies in the contract, then you have to pay attention to that, right? If it's a VA buyer or an FHA buyer and you know there's items that may not pass the VA or FHA appraisal, then now that falls under what? Under what on the financing contingency? Lender required repairs dollar amount on the financing contingency. So you guys need to know that and you need to understand that. So if you have $500 on there and you're the listing agent and you just have to be smart, but you also know if these items aren't completed, this buyer's not getting loan approval. So this whole deal is going to fall apart, right? So that's where our critical thinking, our negotiation skills, putting on our thinking caps and deal doctoring comes into play. If you don't understand what I just said and the ramifications of what I just said, that's where our support team, our mentor, Ruth Ann, Amanda, Aisha, myself, Jim, that's where we all come into play to help you with those things, to make sure you understand those nuances of the contract so that you're not getting yourself into trouble or your clients into trouble. Keith?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you had brought it up, but I've been seeing that a little bit when, if people are buying a home, regardless of what type of loan it is, like if there's, somebody called the other day and there was like a possible issue with the house and the guy was like, well, I'm a contractor, I can just fix. I go, well, the thing is, you can't, because if an appraiser, like there's a big difference. If an appraiser calls something out, and I did find this out the other day too, we will allow for an escrow holdback. I didn't think they could do that.
Within how much? Is there?
I can find out the dollar amount, but as long as it's not a health or safety. So if it's health or safety, whether FHA, conventional, an appraiser, if they call it out, these are things that have to be fixed ahead of settlement. And when you write the contract under lender required repairs, if you're putting $0, then the seller really isn't obligated. Well, they should be if they want to get the home sold, but they're not obligated if you put a $0 in.
Yeah.
So if there's any potential things, just try to look out for that.
Yeah, thank you. Brandon.
And that, what you were just saying, use the word. Started a conversation with email or text. Hey, we're starting to talk about these repairs. Approved now, we're looking at Dallas.
As the seller?
As the seller.
Yeah, so I guess to answer that question, as soon as the buyer sends over a PIN, that begins the seller's 5-day window, right? To get estimates, to meet with contractors and to get their response back to the buyer within 5 days after you receive the PIN, right? Be careful with, and this is where we've seen agents get themselves in trouble. Sellers have said, or listing agents have said, well, the seller has a roofer coming out, but the roofer can't get out here until, next Tuesday because of the snow and he's so busy. And so can you give us an extension on that time frame or whatever it looks like, right? Guys, always get it in writing. Always, always get those extensions into your negotiation windows in writing. Because if they just say, can you give us till this day or whatever, and technically per the contract, what is in writing and what we can bind them to and hold them to. If the seller misses that 5-day window, then the buyer has how many days to either terminate or they've agreed to move on with the contract? 2. I would do a change in terms because the email from a listing agent is not necessarily agreed to by all, right? The buyer and the seller. You want your contracts, guys, as tight, buttoned up, clean, and on point as possible. Because it's these kind of little things, these nuances, where if an agent's looking for or a client's looking for a loophole, that's where they find it, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's not our client, right? Yeah, I mean, wow.
Just to also know, even though you sent the extension, within the time frame, it doesn't extend. So it's got to be
Signed.
Typically, what I would do to protect it is I would do, buyers or sellers, are sending their termination notice or in lieu of this, we'll do this. So that way you send your notice of termination and it kind of calls their bluff. So they're either going to sign an extension or not. But at least you've protected your client, typically the buyer client, that within that time frame, they can still terminate, send the termination. So then it's on the other party's side.
One or the other.
Play ball.
Which one do you pick?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you don't, if you don't receive a PIN within that time frame from the buyer and they're out of their contingency and the seller wants to consider making repairs, there's no time frames there. There's no number of days for the seller to comply with. There's no, you're just doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, really, to try to keep the deal together. So at that point, you're just, it's just in good faith, really. Question?
Mine was very good.
Yeah.
They extend.
Yeah, true. So that brings me to escrow and EMD verifications, earnest money deposits or escrow deposits. Guys, with title companies holding EMDs, even if it's a brokerage, even if it's the other brokerage on the other side, you have to be confirming, and if it's a third party, you have to be getting that third party escrow agreement addendum signed that they've received your escrow deposit. We've had deals where the buyer defaulted, backed out, and the buyer had never remitted their escrow deposit, their EMD, to the third party. They never had it. So the seller now has nothing to bind that buyer to the contract or to keep as reparations, right? Monetary reparations. So it's your job as the agent, either the buyer's agent representing your buyer or the listing agent representing your seller, to be verifying that the title company or the brokerage has that EMD in their account per the terms of the contract. Now, remember, by law, brokers have 7 days to get it in their escrow deposit account. So do third-party escrow agreement holders. However, and this is Dave Thurston, our attorney, has verified this, the third-party title company, until they sign that escrow agreement addendum agreeing to hold that escrow, they're not a party to our contract. So just because on page 1 we put on there that Results Title is going to be holding the escrow and that they have to get it within 3 days or whatever, until they sign that third-party escrow agreement addendum agreeing to the terms and to hold that escrow, they're not legally bound to anything that we write in our contract that the buyers and sellers agree to, because they haven't signed and agreed to it.
So let's say we missed the date, we missed that addendum. Gotta be honest, in this case, my blood pressure did drop, so I knew I had it, but I went back and checked.
Yeah.
Good. Let's say it's not in place, can a seller have legal suit against us?
Us, the title company,
No,
us, the broker,
It was like, look, you were supposed to have,
possibly, yes. because you didn't do your due diligence in representing that client.
Have you ever seen that, Jim?
In other scenarios.
So,
$100,000.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, imagine if that title company never received that $100,000. And so if they hadn't, and the seller wants that $100,000 and is declaring it default, who's responsible for that $100,000 to get it to that client? I mean, to get it to the seller, so. That's when I say your contracts, you guys need to be paying attention to the details. That example right there, that's the extreme, but it's real life scenario, right? You have to be paying attention to the details. It's these tiny little missing signatures, and Amanda sends out the emails telling you what's required. And as soon as you guys get that email, you've got to be paying attention to it. I know there's a lot of agents that don't even look at it until the day before settlement. Some agents don't even look at it until after settlement because now they just want to get paid. But it's not an issue until what? Until it's an issue, right? So paying attention, we do everything we can possibly do. We have 2 sets of eyes reviewing all of your contracts and paperwork, letting you know what's missing in your documents to protect you. And so paying attention to that is crucial. Contract and listing submissions. Everybody in here knows, right? When you get a ratified contract or a signed listing agreement, the first thing after giving a copy of it to the buyer and or the seller is to do what? Thank you. Turn it into the brokerage. We've had a lot of instances lately, and it sends our admin team scrambling where contracts or listings were not submitted to the office. Some haven't even been submitted to the office until after settlement. So I know, right? Thank you for that reaction. Everybody that I agreed to pay after the meeting, let me know what I owe. No, but I mean, it puts me and my broker license at risk. Because when I don't know that there's a contract under our brokerage because you haven't turned it into the brokerage and I'm responsible for supervising you, right? And that contract belongs to me as the broker and my license number is on it. If something happens, I am held responsible for that as well. So it's not just an unreasonable request or just to make you do extra work. It is actually my broker license law that I'm required to supervise you, which means all contracts and listings have to be turned into the office in a timely manner. Our office policy is 48 hours. So within 48 hours of ratification, it's supposed to be submitted to the office. We can't make it any easier, I don't think, than we already have for you with that easy little button in dotloop, submit for review. That's all you have to hit, just that button. And it automatically comes to the admin team.
So sometimes I just want to know how to save Amanda work. Right? Because sometimes I know she's gonna hit, like I reviewed it, right? They've signed it, but there's missing stuff, and I can see that there's things that need to happen. And so sometimes I have waited, and you're telling me I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes I've waited to turn it in, but then I don't want her to have to go through. I want her to know that I already know.
Right.
I
So you can
already
put
know
that
I'm
in your
already
email.
working.
So when you submit for review, if you know there's some things that are missing that you've already sent out for initials or signatures, just drop that in that little note when you go to submit for review. That's helpful to her.
Is if something were to happen to me,
Yeah.
because of a car accident or something, and they didn't know that I had a deal going on,
Yep.
then that would be.
Yeah.
that'd be pretty bad.
Yeah. Because my job at that point is to reassign another agent to represent that client and carry out that transaction to
That's why I
closing.
try to get it done this.
Can I also make a note? When we send things like property inspection notice once completed, home inspection report once received, we're copying and pasting and adding it in there. I fully expect that I'm gonna have all of those things to type out or copy and paste to it. I would rather have one good, solid, complete admin email for me, for my purposes as well, and seeing it being checked off as I go, rather than trying to scramble and pull this doc and this doc and, oh, well, now my admins have gotten confused because we've got separate docs everywhere. It's easier for us the quicker you submit, we go in, we pull exactly what we need, we're pretty quick. We'll go in, pull exactly what we need, we can just look at your docs and grab that, and then put it into the folder, and then that allows us to really get that stuff out quicker. As opposed to waiting and then siphoning through, okay, well, that escrow agreement and the ratified contract wasn't signed, but they did upload a signed one up here. It's easier just to submit all at once and then just let us copy and paste all the way down. Cause that's what we do in some instances with the things that we type out a lot. It's just,
You say copy and paste, what do you think?
to your admin email.
Into the email. She has a
So when
template.
you do your mocks, you'll start
They're
seeing
just
what those
correct.
admin emails look like, yeah, and there's a lot of corrections that you're gonna see on every single one, because when you first go under, the HOA transmittal might not be signed, or, you know, you don't have an inspection notice. But it's easier, I also think, for Tina to pop in and see what all's been completed on the admin email as well, and it kind of just is always stacking on each other, so we can see the trajectory of your transaction as it went through.
And the neater and tighter you can keep your dot loop loops, and I know that's a personality type thing, on the disc scale, so some of you are like, oh, everything is just in the loop in a mess, not labeled, and others are very clean and neat and orderly. But, you know, I'm not saying it has to be one or the, but the more orderly you can keep your dot loop loops and labeling your documents properly, it's more helpful for them, and it doesn't hold up your commissions at the end. Yeah.
I think you find it helpful. One of the things I do is I make a copy of the admin email from their folder and put it into my folder where the docs are. And then anything that's on that admin email, I put just above it so that they know there's their admin email. Everything that's been added that was on it is just right there above it. So they know where to find it. It makes a little bit.
That's a cool tip. I like that. Thank you.
Also, there's gonna be a couple scenarios where you don't get a signed contract back. You're told it's right. Anybody experience this? New home construction,
Yeah.
REO. So what I would recommend is just, you know, if you've been given a verbal that, hey, it's a go, because a lot of times your timelines start once you get that notification. So just submit what you have to the office with a note, ratify contract to come, something like that. So that way we kind of process it, start putting dates in. There's been times where we've been called from other brokers or whatever about these scenarios. We don't even know it's on a contract. So we go into the file, we don't even know what agent.
And it looks bad.
So,
It's really bad.
yeah, so we need to have this information for this type.
Anybody have a question? Any questions on that? I don't see anybody pending. That's okay. The next one is verifying work completed by licensed contractors and your re-inspections or walkthroughs. So, a couple things. If you're asking for work to be completed off of a home inspection report, you should always, on your property inspection notice, your PIN, be specific in what you're asking for. Be very clear and very specific. Where a license is required in Maryland, you should be stating on every request for repair, a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber, a licensed whatever, right? Licensed contractor to complete, and you put the work, and then you can reference page 10, item B6, whatever, in the home inspection report, right? But please be very specific in your requests to be asking for licensed contractors to do the work. Then, guys, you need to be inspecting what you've expected, right? So where you've asked for a licensed contractor to do that work, when you go back for your walkthrough or your reinspection, or the seller has told you, or the listing agent has told you the work was completed, what should you be getting from that listing agent? And it's in the contract. The invoice, right? Documentation, proof, one, the work was done, the scope of work that was done, the company name, and the license number of the contractor that did the work, right? And that it was paid for. Yes, it should be marked paid. Thank you. That is required to be given to the buyer. It's in your property inspection addendum. So making sure that those contractors are licensed is both your responsibility as the buyer's agent and to verify and make sure you're reiterating that to your seller as the listing agent, right? Because in the listing agreement, it states that the sellers agree that any work that they get done on the house may have to have a licensed contractor where required in the state of Maryland. They understand, they should have understood that because they signed it in the listing agreement. So we've seen issues with that. And then your re-inspections or your walkthroughs, you absolutely should not be doing your final walkthrough. If there were repairs to be done, please don't wait until the day of settlement, right before settlement, to go and do your re-inspection or your walkthrough. Because now you've just put your buyer at very few options, right? If they have to move, they have very, very few options when they're finding out right before settlement that those repairs weren't done. Per the property inspection addendum, you have up to 5 days prior to settlement to go in and do the re-inspection of repairs. And then the contract also still gives you your final walkthrough. So per the contract, if you have a property inspection contingency, you have 2 opportunities to do another walkthrough of that property up to 5 days before settlement. And then as close to the time of settlement as you want to do it. Keep in mind, the seller has how long to get the repairs completed? Up until settlement, technically, right? So, that's where but you want to make sure either they're working to get it done, they've gotten it done, or it will be done. And then that final walkthrough is your proof and verification. Should not be doing a final walkthrough 5 days before settlement, and then not going back in that property again before settlement, right? Please don't ever do that, Brandon.
So I'm gonna give you an example and feel free to critique, because James was texting me last night, and we built, we make changes on a contract.
Do you know who that is?
So here's what I told him to say in this, because the house needs.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what I put, and feel free to critique. Buyer and seller agree property will have new septic tank installed by licensed contractor no later than 5 days prior to closing with receipts provided. If by such time septic is not functioning, buyer has option to terminate contract with full EMD. Does that seem pretty
I
straightforward?
critiqued it and said that the seller is just paying for it. I don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that
Right.
it was
That goes pretty
functioning.
easily to reset, But you don't wanna.
Yeah.
you want it to be as tight.
But exactly. That's where that one little, because the seller could say, well, you just said have it installed. You didn't tell me I had to pay for a retest too, or that I had to get a retest, or, so. Do the, so
Yeah, because the county has. to
the
set-
county inspector,
Yeah.
I just have.
and I don't know if that's county to county, if they all do that, or if the installer has to do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
okay, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's,
I just wanted to use this example for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, because here's what I would not do, and we had this issue on another contract where the work wasn't done prior to settlement, and the buyer had to be in the house, wanted to be in the house, and so the buyer said to the agent, well, let's just do something that says that they'll get it done, and they'll get it done after settlement, because it wasn't gonna be done before settlement. So the agent drew up an addendum that said buyer and seller agree, seller will have whatever specific scope of work done. Will not be done prior to settlement. Seller agrees to have it done by settlement. I mean, after settlement, within 30 days after settlement or something. Be very careful, guys, because guess what? You close on that house, that contract is pretty much tightened up and done. The buyer's only, if that seller says, well, sorry, I ran out of money, or I can't do it, or I'm not doing it, or they skip town, whatever, they ghost, and they don't do it. What is the buyer's recourse at that point? To sue them, right? To take them to court. That's their only recourse at that point, is to take them to court. So there's a couple things you can either hold back seller. You have to talk to your lender and the title company and see what's the best option. How should we move forward? I would either be having the seller put a check, hold back proceeds with the title company to be paid directly to the contractor after settlement, once the work is completed, and the buyer has to verify it. Thoughts on that? A paid invoice, but or that they fully paid for the work. But I mean, could they call up and say, hey, we changed our minds, we negotiated differently, or the contractor want more money? It gets, things get added onto the scope that weren't anticipated. Just be careful. If you're not sure, or you're not sure how to handle it, call one of us. Let us help you. All right. Re-inspections, just a note, technically per the contract, the seller really can't tell the buyer who they can bring in to do that re-inspection. So if the buyer wants to bring in a licensed contractor, Carrie's laughing. I wasn't gonna point out specific people. Carrie, you just gave yourself away. Let's go play poker together because. Yeah. So Carrie, the listing agent on the other side of Carrie's deal, this is literally just happening. The seller tried to say that no, the only person they would allow back in the property to do the reinspection was the home inspector. They can't do that. They, bless you. The contract just says the seller has to make the property available to the buyer up to 5 days prior to have the work that was completed re-inspected, and that the buyer has a right to do the final walkthrough. So, I mean, there's nothing in the contract that says, one, the seller can say who the buyer can and can't bring into the property for that final walkthrough or the re-inspection walkthrough. And if the work was supposed to be done by a licensed contractor, there's no reason why the buyer shouldn't be able to bring a licensed contractor in to do the re-inspection. They did, she scheduled it, and they brought their licensed contractors in to do the walkthrough. Rhonda, did you have a question?
I was thinking of contracts that don't have a.
Inspection?
Yeah.
Contingency?
They can still do a
Final walkthrough.
Is that part of the contract?
Yeah, yeah, it's in the property condition paragraph where it says seller is to transfer property free, broom swept, free and clear of any trash and debris, as is the same, same condition it was in at contract acceptance. And the buyer reserves the right to do a final walkthrough prior to settlement. Just says prior to settlement, yeah. Yes, and exterior of the house. A lot of people forget to walk the exterior of the property. What did you have happen? Stuff in the attic?
Like pulled it out.
Uh-huh.
Packed
Oh,
from like the eve to the two car.
oh, jeez.
And the seller didn't know, or the listing,
Yeah,
check them out.
yeah, yeah. And, same thing. That was another scenario that came up is there was still personal belongings, trash, debris in the property at the final walkthrough for another deal. And the buyer didn't want to go to settlement. He wanted the stuff removed. Listing agent was like, I'll come after settlement and I'll remove it. We'll get it removed. Okay, because I'm going to trust you. Why? What, no. So just be very careful.
One thing I'd like to add real quick, I'm gonna interrupt too, is just little things like checking the water, which sounds crazy, but, I was representing a buyer and he had well work done, and the water was fine. We were in the house, there was a lot of work that had to be done in the house, big scale. So we were in and out of there, we had water, it was great. Walk through, which was the night before closing, there was no water anywhere. So we had to call plumber that had done the original work at 7 o'clock at night. He came out 6:30 the next morning and actually repaired it. It was like $2,000 repair, something broken. Anyway, so just check the little things because my buyers have little kids and
Had no water.
There'd be no water.
Yeah.
So yeah, the lights on and off. It sounds crazy.
One of our, drive by that house. One of our agents had one, and it was a pregnant woman and her husband. They bought a house. They were moving in like the same day. It was in the summer. They went and did the final walkthrough, went in, everything looked great. All the repairs were done, came to settlement, closed on it. They moved into the house. They went to kick the AC on, and guess what was missing out of the backyard? The entire unit was gone. Had been stolen, had been cut and stolen from the property, had no AC unit. And it had been gone. The sellers had moved out a couple days prior to settlement. And so it had clearly been gone before they bought the house, before settlement. Those sellers could have been like, well, prove that it was gone when you closed. You did a walkthrough. You said everything was fine. You took the house in the condition that it was in as of the date of settlement. They didn't. They weren't like that. Luckily, they filed it with their homeowners. They filed a police report, filed it with their homeowner's insurance, and the seller's homeowner's insurance covered it and replaced it for the buyer. But that's a clear example of walking the outside of the property too, and making sure that everything that's supposed to be there is there. Checking that permits are pulled. This is a hot button, guys. This is a big one. We've experienced it firsthand. Dennis has experienced it firsthand. contractors that, a lot of us have, a lot of agents in here have, contractors that are renovating properties are supposed to be pulling permits, right? We have one going on right now that was Ruth Ann's buyer that bought a house and it was a renovation property. She bought it, what, 9 months ago?
Bought it,
6
yeah,
months?
March of last year.
And no permits were properly pulled. And it was basically a chop job, and it's got total gut rehab. It's got structural issues. It's got a structural crack in one of the walls that's leaking water. So now it has mold, water intrusion. That was all pre-existing conditions that were hidden under drywall that weren't disclosed. March.
Now this
March.
The air
Air
handler was
in the
put
attic.
On top of plaster, and it's now starting to fall through the dining room ceiling.
Because it wasn't properly secured in the in the attic.
Sellers denied did anything.
And she had didn't she have a home inspection?
We had a home inspection. The home inspector couldn't even get up to see the air handler. Steps to the attic were broken, and there's nowhere to stand in the attic.
Oh.
So he couldn't get over there. He told her that. She's like, no, I understand, that's fine. So yeah, her and I
Yeah.
are actually gonna put down some plywood and go plowing through the attic.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say that. I wasn't gonna say that, but anyway, I mean, the thing to keep in mind, guys, is you know, sellers are required to disclose latent defects, right? The seller the disclosure statement asks the seller, was unpermitted work done, or if work was done to the property, were proper permits pulled, right? But what do most sellers do? Do they disclose and fill out 3 pages? No, they disclaim and say no knowledge of latent defects, right? Whose responsibility does it become to disclose the fact that unpermitted work was done on a property, and maybe even without licensed contractors? The listing agent, because it's what? It's not a latent defect. We are required to disclose what? Material facts that we knew or should have known, right? That we knew or we should have known. Is it easy to pick up the phone and call the county and ask if permits were pulled on a full rehab project that you're getting ready to list, or that your buyer's getting ready to go under contract on? It's a phone call, one phone call. Is it, I mean, there's gray area, whether it's your responsibility or the buyer's or the seller's responsibility, right? Because the contract says it's the buyer's responsibility to call and check planning and zoning, county, to see if permits were pulled, to see if there's any zoning changes or projects on the planning board that would impact their, you know, whether they would buy the property or not. They're supposed to do that before they go under contract. That's not a contingency window, right? There's no time frame for them to call and do their due diligence and their research unless it's land, right? New construction. But it is your responsibility as an agent to disclose material facts.
Legitimately, like, you change out outlet.
You're supposed to have
I mean,
electrical.
every single photo disclaimer, we should be saying, hey.
I mean, I'm talking.
Like, I'm in this situation right
So
now.
let me give you some material fact, right? So does anybody really truly know what to do? Like, so based on material fact is if your client would have had that information beforehand, would they have made a different offer, negotiated differently with that information? So that's basically what is there. So can you sell a house that's renovated without permits? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you disclose it. And then would they change, would a buyer typically change their offer if they knew it wasn't permitted versus permitted?
So here's the
Probably.
So when the buyer finds out that there was no permit and he's fine with it.
I would have them sign. Yeah. So I'll tell you, one of our contracts right now that I just looked at for an agent, they have an addendum in there, a blank addendum. Buyers and sellers acknowledge that renovation work was completed without permits. Buyer signed it.
So anybody want to hear a story?
They're under contract. They're ready to buy it. Mark, here we go.
Well, maybe it'll save you $75,000. So 20+ years ago, Dennis and I were doing our first, we kind of like flipped contracts prior to, we did well. So we were newbies in the business. Like, oh, this is really cool. So Dennis had a UPS route downtown. And at the time, everything was, you know, real estate market was booming, everything was great. I said, Jim, I got this shell. Look, you know, I got this old lady, you know, the family wants to sell a house. I think that's kind of the scenario, right? I got a contractor, he's doing all these rehabs down here, so Battery Avenue. I'm like, all right, cool, man. I had a project going in Arbutus, so I was kind of like overseeing that. Dennis was overseeing this property. So
He just
anyhow,
threw
we
you
get
under the
this.
bus, Dennis.
We won't tell my story. Mine was worse. I did it basically ended up being a new build, which is supposed to be rehab. That's a whole different stuff. That was $125,000 story. But so what was that to us? I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college. What was that? It was our tuition in real estate, right? That's how we looked at it. That's how we survived mentally. So we get this contractor who is licensed, but guess what their license is? Is it MHIC or is it new builder license? New builder. He has a builder license. Can a builder remodel a property? They don't have a license for it or insurance. So hire this builder. Builder starts, guts it out. It's going to be like a 3-story with a rooster top deck, really dug out the basement, all the things, right? Gets underway, everything's happening, opens up all the permits, everything's going well, opens them all of them, structural, mechanical, plumbing, and you need every single permit in the city. Everything's going well. So, but the prices keep going up from this contractor's estimate. At the same time, the market shifted. So it was a great market, and then it became not so great of a market. So end up, we get the settlement, and we brought a check for $25,000. Our first investment property, we brought a check for $25,000. It cost us $25,000 to sell this property, right? So the story should end there. So we get, I think, a letter from an attorney.
Dennis was shaking back there, by the way.
Mickey
So,
twist.
Yeah,
memory.
so you thought these memories were suppressed. No, I tell these stories. We don't make the same mistake. So we get a letter from an attorney and the buyer's suing us because what happened was the air conditioner condenser that they put on the ceiling started to leak through the ceiling. So the buyer hires a contractor, comes over, opens up the ceiling and sees there's no insulation. What do you need to pass a final UNO? To get your final permits, you need insulation in the property. So they do research and they find out that all the permits were open but never closed. And we settled. No UNO, nothing final on electrical. Everything was rehab. Everything was beautiful. It was a beautiful property. So we get a letter saying they're going to sue us for $50,000 because these permits weren't closed and everything. So, you know, Dennis and I are scrambling. What do we do? What do we do? You know, look, we hired a contractor. This is the contractor's fault. So we were going to make a claim against their guarantee fund, the contractor. So we looked into it. And these are all, what was this for us? What do we call this? Transactional what?
knowledge.
Yeah. So we looked into it and we realized that a new home builder license, they do not fall under the venue of a remodel. So we couldn't go after the guarantee fund for this contractor not completing the task as performed on the contract. We had a contract, they were going to open it, close it, all the permits were going to be good, whatever. So our response to the attorney and the buyer agent, this is Chris Cook, a friend of Tina's,
Kevin
buyer agent, or Kevin Cook. We respond to them and say, well, sue the contractor. Like the contractor's the one who didn't do it. And like, no. We're suing you, you sue the contractor. You hired the contractor, that's your job. So we get a letter from the attorney that states, basically you either pay this right here, or we're going to take your license in front of the commission for not disclosing information that you knew or should, because we didn't know. We assumed it was all good because we hired what we thought was proper licensed people to do it.
Even though it was a shell and they had to basically rebuild the house?
Well,
Like,
even though.
No, it was a
No,
renovation.
it's a renovation. It wasn't new construction. So the letter from the attorney said, we're going to take you in front of the commission for information that you knew or should have known, a material fact, because you're in this line of work. So you can either settle here for now or risk your license. So what do you do when you're going to have a career of making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in commission, or just pay out another $25,000 a piece? You know what I mean? So we had a hard decision to make, but that lesson cost us $75,000. So what we try to share, I share these stories like, has anybody paid ground rent here before? Because the seller told them that was a fee simple. And it came back, title works, like, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, these are all
Right.
lessons that after you know them and you learn them the first time because it stung, you know, my first lesson in the ground would cost me $1,800. And again, the real estate commission said, I don't care what the seller told you, it was your job, you're in this line of work, you should have verified it, and they actually published that. So listing agent's responsibility is to check and verify, that's why we say, go with MD Land Rec and double check the deeds, go back 2 or 3 deeds and see the to have and to hold sentence paragraph and see if it says be simple and just follow the chain. So when we talk about the permits, yeah, we were the investors as well. However, if you don't want to be the test case, like you don't want to be sat in front of that real estate commission, or whatever, saying, hey, so let me get this right. You do real estate every day. You understand when permits are needed, when they're not. You see a few full rehab, and whether you represented the buyer or seller, you didn't at least have that conversation, because the clients say they never had that conversation with you. Even if it's the contract for them to do their due diligence, that's one thing, but if you don't have the conversation, then it could come back on you. So we just kind of share this, like, it's better just to have a conversation, disclose it. If you know that permits aren't, pulled that were supposed to be pulled, and the client's okay with it, that's fine. Just get it signed. Your job is done.
And one easy thing to do, because I had an issue like that over a bathroom in the basement, $760,000 sale. I was the listing agent. They had the contractor, they had permits for the finished basement. And then they decided before they sold the house, they had a rough in for bathroom, put a full bath down there because it would help sell the house. It's like $3,000 for them to have this bathroom put in. And I didn't even think about it to do it.
Yeah.
When you pulled up the tax and assessment from the Department of, did real
Mhm.
the number of bathrooms was different
Yeah.
than what was on the listing. I didn't pick it up. And when we sold, when the house was under contract, the inspector came in. He told the client that he was the inspector, that they would have trouble reselling the house because that bathroom was permitted. The deal almost fell apart over $3,000 bathroom, even though everything else had been permitted.
Right.
But she used the same contractor and it was roughed in. So fortunately, they had the plan to the house to show before it was finished that the bathroom had been roughed in. So there was no concrete disturbance or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got through it. It did end up costing them a couple $1,000s, but the inspector overstepped. I don't know if you remember that. But
I do,
anyway,
yeah.
So just check
Yeah.
the assessment, what's on the tax records. to your listing
Yeah, that's a
before
great
it goes
point.
active.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of times when you're negotiating these contracts, cares from offer accepted, okay, the bathroom wasn't for, that's fine, I'll accept the extra usage. But it's things like that trigger a buyer who sometimes they get, a little emotional during a transaction.
Right, and it was the inspector, and that's the way.
Mhm.
Anyway, it all worked out in the end, but
Yeah.
it didn't have to be, I never thought.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times it slips through, right? It's just that one time you get burned.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, sure. There was something else that just brought up that I wanted to let everybody know about, but I will. I'll think of it. Okay. So, any other questions on that? On checking permits and disclosing? I mean, making sure you're disclosing in writing to your clients or to the buyers is really important. Keeping everything in writing is really important. Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Guarantee fund claim, right? So if that client had made a $50,000 guarantee fund claim or 25 and 25 against them, what happens to your real estate license until that guarantee fund claim is repaid to the guarantee? Suspended. Your license is suspended until that guarantee fund claim is repaid by you to the guarantee fund where it was taken out. So it's just another reason to make sure you're paying attention to these things and you're just double checking everything. I wanted to show you guys real quick because I know I've had questions and we've been asked. So now that we are fully transitioned over to Hyatt and Company, with the exception of just a couple little deals still pending to close out under exit results, your new portal for your reports, your commission disbursements, your income reports, your pending transactions, all of those things is in BrokerSumo. So the first time you close a deal with us, you all have an account set up with BrokerSumo. If you go to brokersumo.com/customer login, which we'll put this out. We'll send this out to everybody if you need it again. But if you haven't already logged in, if you get from me or an email from BrokerSumo saying your commission disbursement or your disbursement's ready, view it here, whatever. That is coming from me. It's a legitimate email. It is the new system we have for running and managing our back office. It is connected and tied to Dotloop. So when you put a deal in Dotloop and it goes, certain things are filled in and the status changes to contract, it pushes it over to Broker Sumo as a new transaction for the admin team. This is where we're closing everything out. This is what is now tracking all of our brokerage data and transactions. So I just wanted to show you the inside of Broker Sumo, your agent portal. So your login should look like this. If you go to it, put in your Hyatt and Company email address. And if you don't know your password, you can click Forgot Password and it'll walk you through resetting your password. If you absolutely can't get in, let Amanda or I know, and we can resend you your login information to Broker Sumo. But once you're logged in, so this is mine, so there's don't get excited, there's not a lot of stuff in here. But this is mine. It's going to show you what you have going on this month. So transactions closed this month, transactions closing this month, sales volume this month. If I click in and click on view details, it lets me, I can change my filters. So see, there's nothing in here for this month. But if I change my filters, I can change these dates and I can go back and I can look at any month I want to look at. I can look at transactions that are pending, active, closed, however I want to filter that. I hit apply filters, and then it's going to show me my transactions that I had closed out. So in here, I just want to show you guys what this looks like. So you'll notice it gives you the closing date, the type of transaction, your commission plan. If I go in here and I click on that deal, this is what we see on our end, meaning the admin team. This is what they put in for the transaction, what pulls over from Dotloop, and they go in and they clean this up and edit it. But you guys can go in here and you can look at it and you can see if something's not right. So you can go in and see and say, oh, this number's not right. You may not be able to edit fields, but you can let Amanda know. Bless you. So if your commission's not showing up right, it's because whatever was on, we pulled whatever was on your buyer broker or your listing agreement or your buyer agreement to pay or your seller agreement to pay compensation. So you can go in here but it'll show you the co-broke agent. It's going to show you, should show you your tenant and landlord's contact information. It'll show you the title company that you close with if it's a closing. So it'll track your title information, your lender, it'll track that for you. And then the commission disbursement tab, this is what shows you the breakdown of your commission disbursement. So it's going to show you if you had fees come out, your transaction fee, all of that will show up on there. If you paid your Zillow or if you got your Zillow $100 reimbursement or you paid transaction coordination, those fees should all load in there for you. So you can see all of that in there. If you go to your reports on the left-hand side, if I go to my reports, this is where I can see my billings. So past billings that have come through, what I've paid, because this is the system we use to charge your credit cards for your tech fee, for your annual fees, anything like that. I can see my commission detail report, my pipeline. It's all right in here for me. General financials. It's even got lead conversion, guys. So when we put a deal in and it's a Zillow deal, the admin team is putting in there that it's a lead and the lead source is Zillow Flex and the percentage to Zillow Flex or OpCity, whatever it is. So in here, your lead conversion will show you how many of your transactions were from different lead sources and which different lead sources. So this is the system that we started using several months ago. So if it was prior to the actual conversion from exit results to Hyatt and Company, the past data may not be 100%. So you may see, oh, there's transactions missing from August that I closed. They were still in our old transaction management system memo. They just may not have transferred over into this when we started using this. But then once we knew what was happening and the date, we made sure this was on point and every transaction was running through Broker Sumo. So as of anything after November 15th, it should be 100% accurate as far as your transactions closing under Hyatt and Company. Does that make sense? Any questions on this? Because I know there have been some questions on it. So we wanted to make sure you guys understood it, knew that it was here. There are some pieces of it that we're not really yet using. We may start using them. Amanda and I were talking about this yesterday. She spent several hours in Broker Sumo on her snow day, getting to know some of the extra features for you. Office documents, this is a storage spot, but I'd rather keep everything in Dotloop since you guys are already in Dotloop. I don't want to start putting some documents here, some documents there, go here for that, go. So all your documents, your onboarding documents, your Zillow agreements, your PMP, all will be in your Dotloop account for you still. We're going to keep it all in there. So the documents tab, we may not ever really use. Yeah. Yeah.
So is that where you're at the end of the year?
Yes. Yes. Yep. So
Like
you won't.
exit, yeah.
Yep. So this is to replace the exit monthly agent production reports. You will go into here and you will be able to see your reports monthly at the end of the year. So here's the monthly report, your commission reports. It shows your commission plan. Now keep in mind, we're in the process of updating and changing everybody's plans over from the exit plan to the new plan model. So if you go in there and you see that it says 70-30, don't stress. I'm changing that manually every time I close a deal. It is done?
It's done.
Everybody's done.
If y'all see 70, please email me.
Okay, good. Sweet.
Because I finished.
Michelle, you have a question?
If you notice that anything is not quite right. with
Are you
the
there,
transaction,
Michelle?
with
Can't
the
hear
Hyatt
you.
transaction,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
please
Oh, okay, sorry. I had the headset on. Can we only access Broker Sumo once you've actually closed a Hyatt deal?
No, you should have your account as soon as all of our agents are in Broker Sumo. As soon as they onboard with us, we set them up in Broker Sumo, so you get an account. I just
Oh,
don't
okay.
know that it sends out, it should send out a welcome email because that's part of our side. But if it didn't, if you didn't get one, and you definitely should have gotten one, Michelle.
I'll look.
Because I've been closing out deals for you under Broker Sumo, just under exit, but we can resend you. If you don't know so we'll send out the link to go to log into the system. If you go and you put in your Hyatt and Company email and you don't know your password, do forgot password to reset it. And if you can't get in, reach out to Amanda at that point.
Okay. I wanted to ask you while you're talking about reports, how are we receiving our 1099s this year since we can't log into exit
So
anymore?
So that's a good question. So, and there's two answers to that. So your 1099s for your commission income from 2024 will come from me. So they will come from JTH Exit Results Realty, JTH Homes. So I have to, by the end of this month, be sending out all of your 1099s to you. You'll get, if you had a recruit that closed deals in 2024 under exit and you earned residual income, you will receive a 1099 in the mail from Exit Realty Corp International. But that is those are the only people that will receive 1099s from Exit Realty Corp International, are agents that had recruits that closed deals where you earned a residual in 2024 or 2025. So if they closed, well, yeah. So yes. So Exit Realty Corp International will mail you your 1099. I will be sending out 1099s to all of our agents for your commission income that you earn through our brokerage. Hyatt and Company, only if you closed a Hyatt and Company deal in December. Yes. So if you closed a Hyatt and Company deal in 2024, then you will get two from me. Yeah. Thank you, Jack.
By the way.
Thank you. Yes. So yes, you will get two. I know a couple of you, I think Cassie was the first to close a deal under Hyatt and Company in December. So, there's a couple of you that will get 1099s from Hyatt and Company.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any questions on Broker Sumo on the portal? No? Okay. So that's only other thing I had that I'm not going to go over, but I did include in your packets for you. We included goal setting worksheets. So several of you came in and did business planning with me and took a look at your recap of 2024. So thank you for that. If you still want to come in and meet with me to do business planning.
It was me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hearing myself. If you still want to come in and meet with me, please do. I would love to have you come in. I would love to do the breakdown of your year last year and help you set goals for this year. Yesterday, I did a marketing class for your building out your marketing plans for 2025. So thank you to those that came. Those materials from the business planning class and from yesterday's marketing class are in the Hyatt and Company Agent Google Drive. So in there is a couple folders. So you'll see there's a business planning folder that has a lot of business planning resources. This is going to have Brian Buffini's business plan. It's going to have Burl Workman's business plan and Tom Ferry's business plan in there for you. It also has budgets, worksheets, you name it, it's in there. So the business planning, the marketing ideas and trainings, there's a lot of great marketing resources in there for you. There's also a marketing plan folder. And then all the way at the top, you'll notice sales rally agendas and attachments. That's a new folder I created today to put all of this stuff in there. So for all my online people, that's where you can go to find today's meeting agenda and all of the attachments. But the attachments here are different than what I handed out in the business planning class and the marketing class. So it's Brian Buffini's business planning guide. So the guide to creating a business plan. His goal sheets, which I love because he does 10-day goals, 90-day goals, and they're in all of your core pie pieces. So for those of you that do the Circle of Life with me, when we did that in business planning class this year, you know, where you fill in your pie pieces. How am I doing in my spiritual area? How am I doing in family, business, financial, and personal? My wheels of my circle of life. And then my 1-year goals and my 5-year goals. So for my people that are like, I hate business planning, I hate filling it out, it goes in a drawer, I never look at it again. 1-sheeters, super simple, right? Tape them to your wall at home in your office so that they're up in front of you, your 1 year and your, you know, whichever ones you want to do, your 5-year. But keep in mind when you're business planning, you start at the 5-year and typically work your way backwards, right? So we start with our long-term strategic plan. What do we want 5 years from now? What is that vision? And then we work our way backwards. So each year, each quarter, each month is, or each 10 days is implementing the activities to reach your 5-year strategic plan. Make sense? In here also is Burl Workman's income goal sheet, which I think is really simple, clean, and easy to follow. Those of you who aren't familiar with Burl Workman, he's got a lot of great free resources on his website too. He's very similar to Brian Buffini and Tom Ferry, but just a different perspective, a different take. So your income goal worksheet, so you build your goals, then you do your income worksheet to figure out how you're going to make that income or close those deals. And you work on your budget. So those are the pieces that your 4 pillars of income. You're going to figure these out for yourself, but it should be your database, your A+ and A people, if you're doing any geo farming, and then your 4th pillar could be Zillow Flex or your lead program. And then there's your marketing plan. So how are you going to close those deals? Building out your marketing plan. I like this one because it gives you a lot of great tips for your marketing and for your marketing plan for each category of client. Your business planning calendar, this is Buffini. So this is on Buffini's website. So you break down your year month by month with your activities. And this is similar to what we did yesterday in marketing planning. And then, so the only thing that's missing in here that is in the resource drive in the business planning folder are your budget forms. So filling out and working on your budget. You should be absolutely holding yourself to a personal and a business budget. It's the only way to reach your goals, really, and to make sure that you're staying on point, right? So all of those resources are in the Google Drive for you guys. So again, if anybody wants to meet to do business planning, you have my Calendly link. Or you can just come back to my office, shoot me a text, and we'll get you on the calendar. But I would love to do business planning with everybody, right? The only way to know if we're growing and moving forward is to know what we did last year and what our goals are, right? If we're just out there kind of, it's like shooting a gun, right? I can't hit my target if I don't know what my target is. So business planning is the key to that. So I would love to see every single one of you come in and do business plans, or at least just tell me that you did a business plan and you set some goals. I would love to know what your goals are because I take notes on that. And then when you come back in and meet with me, either quarterly or biannually, we touch base with it and I say, hey, Ron, these were your goals. This is what you wanted to do monthly. How are we doing? Where are we at? What are you doing to get to where you want to go, or you're ahead of schedule? You're going to reach your goals. How do we want to adjust this? Right. The accountability piece. It's not just setting the goals and doing the business plan. It's then having a partner to hold you accountable to what you said you're going to do. Questions on any of that? Watch for our holiday party invites. They should be coming out in the next week or two. I know, I'm super excited. It's going to be February 27th at Cured, 18th and 21st in Columbia by the mall. It's a jazz speakeasy type. It's a restaurant, but we have their private back room. We will have live jazz music, appetizers, open bar drinks, and it's our annual award ceremony. So it should be a really nice event, cocktail attire, or if you want to dress in themed attire, that's entirely up to you. But it's not, it's not required. Yeah, so please, Jeff, please come this year. No costumes, I promise. So yeah, guys, and Buffini, if you are taking Buffini, I need you to sign up like ASAP. So we're launching in 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to get your kits in if you're going to sign up and take the Buffini program. So if you're going to sign up, please do so. Otherwise, if we don't have enough people, then we won't be holding it. But I know that there are some people that want and need to take it. Remember, it's a requirement for all new agents coming into the office. So if you have questions, let me know. It was on Brianna's Realtor Opportunities email this week. The link was there to go and sign up for the Buffini class. So go back and take a look at that email if you need that link to sign up.
If you take it, so we jump in.
Yeah, if you've taken it before with us or anywhere and you've taken it before, you can come back through and sit through our class, bring your workbook, or, I can print copies for you, but it's a great refresher. So the first week we launch is the introduction week. And then we jump in with week 1, which is like it's going to be Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. It's about an hour and a half long. And we start January 21st, I think it is.
Yes.
January 21st. So it runs for 9 weeks. Do you have a question, Trev?
Yeah.
Okay. Pre-licensing. Yeah. So that's a great question. I'm working on it. I am trying to partner with, for those of you that know Brenda Kasuva, she's got her own real estate school and she's a trainer, and she's working on trying to open her own pre-licensing school through Maryland Higher Education, whatever it is called. It's a long, arduous, difficult process. So she is in the process. She's just in a holding pattern right now, waiting for them to get back to her. But she will do them for us in our space, in our classroom, once she is licensed for her school. The problem is we would love to do them. We can't find a school that will dedicate an instructor or just agree to hold the classes in our space. So the old one we were using, Elite Learning Academy, Buddy, he's short on instructors. He doesn't have enough instructors. So everybody's moved to virtual. Everybody's moved to either live online, like where it's a person and you're on a Zoom and you're taking it online. TriStar Academy has them like that. So I've been referring people to TriStar Academy because they don't do them in brokerages. I'd be careful referring them to like Elite Learning Academy because they're in typically Keller Williams offices and they will be recruited hard. TriStar. Is it? I thought it was independent of the brokerage.
I don't see any recruiting in there.
I mean, nobody knows.
You're the broker for the broker course. Yeah. So, so it's always a toss up, but the CE Shop has them virtually online. Yeah, the ceshop.com is really good. So right now we're working on it. We're trying.
We had the best tenants.
Yeah. That was another idea that another broker had actually done. Another broker was actually having people sign up, and then she was actually holding it as a live in-person class, but they were doing it through like this, through the CE shop. And so she would log on to the CE shop and she was teaching to the virtual class. And they were actually students of the CE shop, but she was just kind of like I do Buffini, the Buffini class, right? Same kind of concept. I'm not doing that. So if somebody in here wants to be the volunteer, Cassie, or anybody, then, but you know, yeah. So for right now, it's all online. Everything that we're recommending is online, but we're working on it. We're trying. It's a good question though. Thank you. We still are doing career nights. We're doing them typically the second Wednesday of the month, each month. So if you have people that you want to send into the career night, you know, we had to get through the changeover before I could really start blasting and marketing those again. So now that I'm kind of a little bit able to come up for air, yeah, I know. So any other questions, guys? All right. Thank you for coming in.
Can I announce we have one more ticket at our table for Green Health?
Women's Council of Realtors, Howard County. And I'll tell you, I've sent out 3 referrals to Women's Council members in other states in the last 3 months. So if you're interested, it's not just for women, guys, it's for men too, but it's a great referral network source. So yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye, everybody online.
North Beach agents, if there's any on here, I will be at North Beach on March 20th at 10 a.m. for the day. And we're gonna run it kind of like a workshop, a transition workshop for you guys moving from exit over. So I'll see you there. I hope a whole bunch of you can come.
Yeah, you can. Right, yes. Send me another email. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks.
I don't even.
Yeah.
But I signed up for GRI. The
Nice.
2 conflicts with.
Okay. And you can, so what I do is I release the videos to you.
Okay.
So if you miss a class or you tell me, hey, these are the, so let me know each week that I'm missing this week. Cause if you tell me now, like I'm gonna miss this, I will forget when the week comes up. That week of that session, Buffini allows me to release the videos to the agents that aren't able to attend the class. And you have access to it for 1 week. So I can do that. Oh, no. So that's